Right, good evening, everyone. Welcome along to the Stevenage FC interviews here with defender Luke Foster. How are you?
All good, mate. All good. Very good.
It's good to see you,
Excellent.
mate. How you getting on with everything through lockdown? How have things been?
Not too bad actually, to be fair. Obviously we've had a little bit of nice weather, so it's made it a bit easier. I know we've had some bad weather as well, but at least we've been able to sit in the garden and just make the most of it.
The last 2 or 3 days have been scorching, haven't they? They've been lovely.
Yeah, it's been nice in the day, but not. I hate it now when it's too hot. It's a shocker. It's too hot when you've not got any
Absolutely.
aircon. It's a nightmare.
So we've got a message there as well. Hi, Brian. Hi, Brian. So yeah, first
Right? How
up,
are you?
first question: what was it like making your debut in the club's first ever game in the EFL against Macclesfield?
Yeah, it was obviously very memorable. And I think if I remember, I think we were a bit unlucky not to win. To be fair, it was a really good game, and obviously it was special for me to be part of that first ever squad playing in the league. Yeah, it was a special moment. It was a great atmosphere. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a nice day, nice weather. It was lovely. Yeah, it was a great occasion.
It was excellent. I remember standing in the thick of the East Terrace as well that day, and I that was one of the latter years. I've had season tickets back then in the main stand, and then moved to the East Terrace. And when the team were flying on all and on all cylinders like then, in the thick of it in the East was very memorable to say the least.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a great atmosphere. Yeah, it was. I think we're. I think to be fair, I think was it 2-1, and they pulled one back in the 2-2. I think. So yeah, I thought we were little bit lucky, but we're great memories. One of many.
Yes, absolutely. And then we've got Peter Vincenti and Charlie Griffin. I'm actually going to be speaking with Charlie next week, so I'll speak to him about the same game as well. When
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I've not spoke to. To be fair, I've not spoke to a few of them for a while. I keep in touch with quite a few. I think they were. We have a couple of group chats, and we had a bit of a Zoom call. Not so long back actually. A few weeks back. I don't think Charlie was on there or Pete. To be fair, I've not spoke to them for a while.
have they had any sort of stories to tell you about Ron's testimonial? Because obviously you were invited to that, but you couldn't make it, could you? So
Nah, I couldn't make it that day. No, yeah, I've heard some good stories. Yeah, some of the lads were talking about it. It was a good day. It was a really good day. I heard.
yeah, it was. I remember, it was a brilliant game. Yeah, lots of sort of funny bits of that as well, and Ron's son scoring as well. Ron
Yeah,
scoring. Ron never scored.
never scored.
But no, he was obviously very emotional that day, and it was nice as well. It was kind of a nice end up with him sort of moving on, and yeah, he's still involved with the club, but obviously not in a playing capacity. He's playing elsewhere now. So
Yeah, yeah, that's it. We're good. Been a great servant to a club. I mean, it's racked up hell of a lot of appearances, and so many for Stevenage, which is quite rare actually. To be fair, nowadays to rack up that many for one club, so it's well deserved.
yes, and obviously he was at Luton as well, and as I said to Charlie Lee the other day, there's not many that are liked by Stevenage and Luton, respectively.
Yeah, that's it.
So we've got So obviously, you only ever scored one goal for the club. It was actually against Barnet as well, wasn't it? In the 4-2 win.
That was right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah.
What was that
Um,
like?
well, it was funny actually because I do speak about this quite a bit, and actually I remember the gaffer tried to take it off me because if you look on the replay, it's the most minimal of touches you'll ever see, but he always
Yeah.
tries to give the striker the advantage. It was credited to me and it was my goal, but he tried to give it to, I think it touched one of the strikers on the way through like a hair's breadth, and he tried to give it him, and I was like having a bit of a discussion of that I wanted it and I wanted to keep it because I think it was left foot as well. It was on my weak side. I just swung at it
Hmm.
and it went in the corner. So yeah, I was really chuffed with that goal. Yeah, it was a good game that as well. I remember we were really dominant.
You've 100%. You're keeping that goal because obviously, with other things that happened as well later on in that sort of season, and with the playoffs and stuff, and you weren't able to be involved in any of them games. You can have a goal. You're having a goal.
I'm having a goal. Yeah, come on, don't take that away from me. My only goal.
But yeah, so you featured 23 times for the club, and obviously the club went on to get promoted that season. With the final day against Bury being the 3-3, and then the playoffs with Accrington, and then the final against Torquay. What was it like being involved in that? Obviously, I know you were suspended, but what was it like being in and around the camp for that?
Yeah, it's. I'd be lying if I said it. Wasn't a little bit disappointed, obviously, because I was playing in the build up to that, and then I was very unfortunately sent off, and appealed it and got the extra game. I think, which is why
Yeah.
I missed the final. But I thought I had a good chance, but clearly not. But obviously, it was brilliant to watch and to be part of, and seeing a group of players, elite players like that. I mean, it's very rare you have a squad like we did that season. It was like we just felt invincible really at times, like we could never lose. That was even before it kicked off, and it's not very often you get that feeling. So to watch what we've been putting into practice all year and finally seeing the late rush of form we had, it was still a fantastic feeling. I was just a little bit on a personal note, just a bit slightly, obviously, a bit disheartened that I wasn't involved.
And obviously that sort of back five was obviously, what was it like trying to displace Ash and Robbo?
Yeah, I knew that'd be difficult anyway. I knew what I was coming into before I signed. They were ever present, before, and they'd done so well. So I knew that was going to be a challenge, which is why I think I pushed slightly forward. And when I did play, I played more in midfield, I think, than I
Yeah,
than I did at the back.
defensive mid sort of. Yeah,
Yeah, like just in front of Ash and Robbo, and next to Bozzy, and
mm.
when Bozzy played, or sometimes it was obviously Laurie Wilson in the three, or Bridjo or Sinks. There was a good mixture in there. So it was going to be difficult, but I just knew that I wanted to be part of that squad. Obviously, I'd come up against it the year before for Oxford, and I just thought, yeah, it's definitely where I want to be.
And obviously Moose was in there as well. John Messinho, who scored the winner
Yeah.
at Old Trafford. Yeah.
Yeah, Moose was in there as well. So it was a hell of a squad. Thinking, if you think about the names and the options that squad had, and ability, was frightening, really.
Even if you look, further forward up the field as well, Yemi, Beardo.
Yeah, maybe you had a great mix up front. Griff with his technical ability was frightening. To be fair, is what he could do with the ball, and what he lacked in pace. You had Yemi, and then you had Beardo, obviously great target man. It was great to have in the team, work rate. So it was such a good squad.
And then obviously, you were involved in the Newcastle game as well. You were on the bench for that one. What was that like? Obviously, was there kind of very much being said around the sort of camp? A lot of the fans were saying it, but in regards to the game against Newcastle from back in the late 90s, did anyone kind of mention much about that, or not really?
Yeah, there was talks about it. Obviously, you get all kind of stories and stuff when you're playing one-off games like that, and they're always looking back in the history books to see when you've ever played them or ever been at that position. So yeah, you do kind of listen, but obviously you're focused on that task. But the going back to what I was saying before about having such a good squad is that we actually, on a serious note, we actually fancied it. It's
Yeah.
daft to we actually fancied it. The Reading game as well, and
Mm-hmm.
and obviously the Newcastle one. We fancied it. There's no other way to put it. We did.
Russ, best game of your career?
Best game of what? As in for Stevens or just in general?
You can link it to either, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll keep it Stevens. I think my best game was probably. I think I'm going to say the Barnet one,
Mm-hmm.
because not just because I scored, but I think it was at that time they were a very good team. I think if I remember right, they had a couple of the strikers there. I think was Tyrone Barnett and somebody else, and they were like the bit of a power strike force in that league. And I think
Yeah.
I just remember that game. I just felt dominant, and it's just one what stands out in your mind, really. But it's hard to look back. There's been so many games you've played. You can't really pinpoint one, but I'd say that one for Stevenage. definitely for
And
me.
with just on a side note as well, Russ, his family, his cousin and his auntie are Rotherham fans as well. So obviously you moved on to Rotherham after you were at Stevenage, so they've probably seen you play a bit too.
Yeah, they might have done. Yeah, I unfortunately did my cruise ship at Rotherham in December. I had a couple of niggles early on in the season, so I didn't start the season too well. Then I got into the team probably about October, end of October. I had a really good run in the team, and then I did it in training, just a really innocuous challenge. Yeah, and then from December put me out to the end of the season, and obviously then I moved on. So yeah, probably will have seen me play. I think I played, I don't know, 7 or 8 games that season.
Yeah. So with the playoffs and stuff, obviously, unfortunately, you were unavailable for selection. But yeah, like what were your memories of that game? Obviously, the Bury game, for example, when it was the 3-3 when Ben scored his only goal and then he went off injured about 10 seconds later.
Yeah, yeah. It was just really exciting to watch. Just obviously when you're still part of something, you're part of a group, you're kind of like a family, and even just watching it would just really on 10 trucks all the game, the whole
Yeah.
game, just thinking, it's like make or break. This could make it. Where we're going after this. It's a massive game, but yeah, we're brilliant to watch just because the lads were playing so well.
And then obviously the Accrington game, home and away, and Torquay, and just all of that you know was brilliant. And even as a supporter, that was excellent. How did it feel, after the game at Old Trafford when you're all on the pitch celebrating together?
Wow, yeah, just the adrenaline and just on top of the world. You can't replicate that feeling that you get from celebrating like that as a group of the long hard season that you've been working like every day relentlessly throughout the year, and that's the end result, and it's like it's just you've accomplished what you've set out to do. Not saying at the beginning of the season you think, right, we're going to get to play a final and win, but
Yeah.
when you get there, it's like, wow, we've done it. What a feeling! So yeah, it was special.
Would you say it was any sort of different, or if it was at Wembley, would you say that would have been more special, or the fact it was at Old Trafford and the Theatre of Dreams, or do you still think it's
It's tough on that. I think I don't know. Actually, it's a really tough one because for me, on a personal level, I'm probably a Man United follower,
Mhm.
so I that for me would be my preference. But I can appreciate for many others why Wembley would have been a better option, probably. But for me, Old Trafford, yeah, I would pick Old Trafford. But it's a close one. It's a good question. There's no real right answer to that.
And even with Stephen, his fans, there was a lot that travelled to Old Trafford, and obviously it was just a crazy couple of days, even not just a day. So yeah.
Yeah, well, it was a long way, but yeah, it turned out. It was a great occasion for everybody, and the support was great as it was all season. So yeah, it was brilliant, great for them as well because like travel a long way, you don't want to go back empty-handed.
Absolutely, yeah. There you go, Ricky Leonard, Manu, and Stevenage. So he's obviously with you on that.
Nice, nice, Ricky.
Um, what was it like playing under Graham? And in that side, obviously with Day and Ronnie and Robbo and everyone and Laddie and Laurie and the list goes on, as I said.
Yeah, just like you know, so much talent, and it was like the feeling you get when you're lining up with somebody and you know that they've got so much ability, and it's good for you because everyone's you've not there was nobody really weaker than anybody else, so you had
Mhm.
to raise your game to be in the team and to stay in. So that the standards were just so high all season. They were just they never dipped because you knew there'd be somebody else just as good to take your place. So it was simple as that.
Do you ever sort of, you played 23 games. Do you ever sort of regret that it wasn't more? Obviously, the final couple of games, the final three or four with the playoff run, those four could probably be in there. But then, would you say that's kind of, do you sort of regret that you didn't play a full season, for example? Or
Um, well, obviously, I would have liked to have played more, but I think Graham's methods. I think I understood that I weren't necessarily going to, jump straight in the team because the team had been a success before
Yeah.
I got there. We were like Graham's signings after that were additions to strengthen the team. So it was a good squad, and there's no guarantee. So I think I appreciated that I probably didn't play more games because that group of players did so well for him. So have earned the right to carry on in the team, and there was no illusions of any other scenario than that. That's what he explained to me before I signed. That got to fight for your place. These lads have done well for me, and that was that. So I think that's probably a fair return of what I expected. To be fair.
And then when you saw obviously Graham come back earlier on in this season for his fourth spell, how did you feel about that? Did that kind of raise any eyebrows or not?
What when he came back later on recently?
Recent, just before
Um,
Alex.
it did and it didn't because obviously once you've come back once after the second time, I think the doors probably open for you. Especially
Yeah,
he's got a good relationship with the chairman, so I'm told. I presume that's still, I think he's done so well over the years, and he does know that level. He does know players what it takes at that level. So no, I'm not really surprised. Not really surprised. There's
fair enough.
nothing wrong with that.
And then obviously, how much do you know about Alex? Obviously, from Rotherham, do you know much about Alex Revell or?
Yeah, I was with Revs at Rotherham. Yeah, he's a great lad, really funny, great character on and off the pitch. So I can see that it'd be popular. I'm sure with the fans.
Yeah,
The lads will love him because obviously he played as well. And it's really good to see a fellow ex-pro getting a crack and or having a crack at the whip, and fingers crossed he does well. It's good to see, refreshing.
yeah, and obviously, it's quite difficult at the moment the way he's coming in. Obviously, with the club being relegated to the conference and stuff again now. How do you feel about that? Do you feel he's going to be able to bounce back with the support of Lenny Lawrence and obviously Phil and?
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes, obviously, they've been in teetering around that for a couple of seasons now, and I think obviously nobody wants the team to go down. Nobody wants your team who you support or play for to go down. But I think sometimes it's like a bit of a reset button, and I think them going down not necessarily a bad thing because if they come back up next year and they're stronger and in a better position to do better in the football league, then I don't see it as a necessarily bad thing. I mean, the conference now, with all due respect, is basically another. So many good teams in there,
Yeah,
ex-league
it's a
teams.
very strong league. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's a strong league, so they're not dropping down and particularly going to see a massive difference in standards. There'll be some good clubs visiting Stevenage, and there'll be some good games to travel to away. So it'll be a tough
yeah.
league, but I don't think it'll be necessarily a bad thing if they have a good start to the season. Yeah, definitely.
And then we've got So obviously, what was your sort of best memories of your time at Stevenage?
The best memories. I think one of the best memories I've got was literally not long after I'd signed, and we
Yeah.
went to La Manga for pre-season,
Yeah,
and I kind of thought, this is nice, bit of a fitness. Obviously we're going to do a little bit, but we get around the pool, probably have a lads' night out,
yeah.
which we did, and we did that as well. But wow, that was the hardest 4 days of my entire life. I kind of thought after that 4 days, I thought this can't be what it's like all year. Surely we did this golf course run, literally hole to hole, 18 holes, flag to flag, at a pace which I've never done. I don't think I've ever run that fast since then. It was phenomenal, and
Was that because of Graham and Graham's speed? Because Danny was just saying about Graham and Graham just being a fitness freak and whatever. So
well, to be fair, it was an absolute machine. It was an absolute monster. Fitness, mentally, physically, it was just an absolute beast. And that was our first day arriving at La Manga. He said, "Come on, go for a little run, stretch legs." I thought that's all right.
yeah, Hmm.
wow, wow, it was unbelievable. And it was one of my fondest memories because it was like obviously I just experienced that, but we had time to get to know the lads and we had a night out. We were able to enjoy ourselves. But yeah, that was an insight of what was to come for the season. But it was the best shape I've ever been in. That season was the fittest and the strongest and mentally sharpest I've ever been. So it must have done something.
I wanted to ask Danny this one, but I didn't get around to it. Did you have like an initiation when you signed for Stevenage, like initiation songs or anything like that?
Yeah, you all have to have a bit of a sing song. I'm trying to think. I can't remember what I did now. Um, Yeah, we all had to do one. It's pretty much standard across the board. That's not
Yeah.
particularly Stevenage thing. It's pretty much stand on a chair when you're having your dinner, pre-match
Hmm.
meal, or a meal at the or wherever changing room, and stand up and you've got a belt out a song. Not for long, but that's probably more terrifying than playing on the pitch. So
But
it's horrible.
you don't remember what it was, no?
I think my usually safety one is Angels, Robbie Williams.
Robbie. Okay.
Usually,
Yeah.
just because it's just a bit something most people know, so they can sing along. If you start singing things people don't know, you're on your own and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
really exposed. And I did not want that, so I think I just played it safe with that one. I think.
When you come to Stevenage, did you move down here, or did you travel down to training every day, or?
No, I did. I moved. I moved down there. Trying to think where I live. I was living Northamptonshire
Hmm.
before that, and it was it was probably I think it was about an hour, something like that, far side of North. This the close side of Northamptonshire. I think it's probably an hour and a bit, but I didn't want to do it every day, so I did move. I moved into the old town,
Yeah, yeah.
which was nice. It was 5 minutes away. Um, yeah, it was. Yeah, that's where I moved to. Yeah, it was nice. I liked it there. It was really nice little village. Some nice shops, coffee shops. Yeah, nice place.
And then have you sort of stayed in contact with any, from your team, from your team there, your time at the club? Any
Yeah, most of them. To be
yeah.
fair, most of them. We have a group chat, and there's everybody from then, and I think maybe even the season before. So it's quite a big group, and we all keep in touch on there and have a bit of a laugh and a joke on there, and talk about memories and that. And we had a bit of a catch up a few weeks back, a Zoom
Hmm.
call, which was nice to see everyone's faces because you do keep in touch, but you don't get a chance to see everyone and see what everyone's doing and stuff. So yeah, we're
Absolutely.
nice. I think we're going to do it again soon. I think and catch up.
That's good then that you're all sort of staying in contact, and yeah, because that is a very memorable time for the club. It's that promotion, like the Newcastle game as well. To be honest, kind of righted a wrong in
Yeah,
fans' eyes anyway.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it was so many memories from that year, so many good memories, which especially as a player, I'll remember forever. And obviously the fans, I'm sure a lot of fans have some special times from even before that that had
Yeah.
been, that had a great year before that. And then obviously they went up again, and obviously
Hmm.
they've had some really good memories.
FA Trophy games and all of that stuff as well. Yeah.
Yeah, FA Trophy. I forgot about that the year before. Yeah, obviously, so they've had some great days out. Had some great
Wembley and see him
Wembley.
running lift the trophy at Wembley and
Yeah,
yeah, all like Robbo lift it at Old Trafford and
yeah,
at Kiddie and yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
lots of great times. And yeah, lots of great stories. So let's have a look here. What was it like in the sort of build up to the Reading game as well in the FA Cup before Newcastle?
Um, I think I don't
Because
think we.
actually, who did we beat to get to play Reading? That's what I was thinking as well.
I was just trying to think that as well. I can't remember can't remember who we beat. Was it someone like Newport or something? I don't know. I can't remember.
I can't remember. I was trying to work it
Can't
out
remember.
earlier, but
But
I
I
couldn't
don't
find it
think we.
out. Yeah.
I don't think we particularly. I don't think we did anything different really, because I think we had that belief where look, if we play like we play and we do what we do, they won't be able to. They won't not sit them. They won't have played anything like us all season. And we can catch them off guard. I think we just maybe upped the tempo a little bit, probably, but I don't think we did anything different because I think we had that. It's like that inner confidence. We just kind of knew, like it was. honestly, it's a feeling I don't think I've ever had with any other squad throughout my career. It was just standing in the dressing room, in the dugout just before you're walking out, and you used to look around me and think, it's going to take some beating today. You're going to have to be at your best if you're going to beat all those lot. And
I
obviously, we're a
remember
big
the
team as well.
Newcastle game. Yeah. No, I remember the Newcastle game, and I remember even the fans just felt mega confident Newcastle when we were going to do it fairly convincingly as we did as well. Fans that didn't surprise many fans.
Well, I quite believe that, because that was the kind of the feeling from the players and the staff and everybody. It
Yeah,
was it was kind of like, I do fancy us. I don't think they're going to be ready for us.
and
We
then
were
obviously,
we were growling, nearly growling and climbing the walls in the tunnel. I think they were thinking, these look crazy. These are ready for blood, and we were we were ready.
that game was they had a decent lineup: Lovenkrantz and
Yeah,
Joey Barton, Czech Tiotti, who's obviously passed on since that now has passed away,
yeah,
and some like they
yeah.
did
It was
they
a
did a good side.
great squad. I just think they were just. I think that first 10, 15 minutes, if I remember, I just think I was looking at them. They were like a rabbit in headlights. I just think they were thinking, "What is going off here?" And we started well, and I just think they were not expecting us to be like that. I think they maybe thought they'd come over and roll us over, but anyone who knows that Stevenage side, it's not happening.
No, not to that side. No way. It
No,
was.
I can remember. I can only remember one game where I think we were having a bad day, but it was one of them games. If you remember it, if you were there, it was Stockport away. There were a massive crowd there.
Right.
You know, 6,000-7,000 fans, and they absolutely
Mhm.
murdered us. I think we lost 3-1. We had a really we were poor that day for whatever reason, whether it was a journey or whether we were a bit leggy, but they absolutely destroyed us that day. We weren't very good. That's the only one game I ever remember thinking we've been done by a better team. There, we've been done.
And then, in terms of Graham Wesley after that game, how was his sort of, reactions to games like that, where you've been sort of done over? What was he like after a game like that?
I think just a bit confused, actually. I think just a little bit, obviously disappointed. I think he knows can't win every game, but I think the manner in which we lost that wasn't the team which is what you'd expect. And I think just
Yeah.
a bit how was a team who I think at that point were probably not near us in the. I don't know if they were near us in the league or not, but realistically should never on paper should have never got near us. But we got there and we're just all over the place. So I think just a bit confused more than anything. Like, how's that happened?
The question from Matt Laverick there. What's the worst loss you ever suffered, as in which game did you feel the most gutted after?
Worst loss. That's a tough one. It's a really tough one. I think again, in general.
I guess for Stevenage or in general, you can kind of relate it to both if you want to, yeah.
I can't really think of a. I'm going to say, to be quite honest, I'm going to say the one. Believe it or not, the first game against Macclesfield, because it was a great feeling to play in. But I think we should have probably got the 3 points, and I was a bit disappointed because I probably should have dealt better with it for the second goal. I didn't get enough on it for the clearance, which resulted. I think I don't know. I think it fell to somebody. They finished it. I should have done better with it. So I think came off a little bit like mixed emotion, a little bit disappointed, thinking should have won that, and I should have probably dealt better with that and we should have got 3 points. So I'm going to say that Macclesfield one from Stevenage, because I remember being a bit disappointed with myself.
Okay, that was a very interesting game that as well. It was sort of end to end really, the Macclesfield game. I remember, being there, and it was a great experience with the first football league game and everything like that. But I thought we could have got 3 points as well from it personally. When I come out of the ground, I was like, we could have won this today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I think we could have. So yeah, I think that's why I probably felt a bit disappointed. That was definitely for Stevenage, and then I think the season before that was the most embarrassing one. I think we played. This was when I was at Oxford, and we was we lost 1-0. It was final day of the season. I think if we won, we got in the playoffs, and full stadium. I think it was 10, 11,000. And we lost 1-0. We'd flattered to deceive. So yeah, they were my two probably highlights what I can think of.
What about when you were, playing for Oxford? How much did you play against Stevenage? Did you play against Stevenage very much before you actually signed, or?
Yeah, if we played, in fact, I remember it was the season before when it was like first and second,
Yeah.
and we came to when we came to Stevenage when I played at Oxford, and that's the first. Obviously, I played against them leading up to that. In fact, I played against Stevenage when Anthony Elding played.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I will have been at. I think I might have even been on loan at Scarborough at the time, someone like that, maybe Scarborough.
Okay.
York City, even I can't remember.
Yeah.
So I have played against them over the years, but that was the first time I kind of thought, wow, it's this hell of a team, and they're on his tails all season. And obviously they ended up obviously getting promoted. But yeah, I think that was an interesting season. But yeah, that team that's the first time I played against them properly, and I thought it's hell of a team this, which is why I wanted to join the year after. So I thought,
Yeah.
I won't mind being part of
What was the best performance you ever had, or the worst, and the worst?
that. The worst was, I think I'm gonna have to say the Burton, because anyone remember I came on and then got sent off.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, yeah.
So I'd have to say just by default that was my worst, even if I wasn't playing particularly bad. But I came on and I felt hard done by, because I didn't think it was a red card. I think he made a meal of it. I don't think I should have gone for it. I think it was. I can't remember how I got sent off, but I felt hard done by anyway. So that I would say that's my worst. Just the fact that I've come on and 5 minutes later I was having a shower. I was like, "What's going on here?" Yeah, and then the best performance, Stevenage wise, I think I said earlier, I'm going for the Barnet one because I scored, and I think I had a really good game that game. That was my personal opinion.
All right. So yeah, we've said about that one. Obviously, the current situation at the moment is very unprecedented with the whole club being relegated. Do you think Alex Ravel, is going to be able to get him out at the first time of asking, or do you think it might take him a while to rebuild? Or
I think the rebuilding process is important, and it's impossible to say whether he's going to be able to do it in the first season or not. I'd love him to. He's a great lad. I'd love him to take him straight back up as as champions, and I'm sure Revs would love that as well. But I think they've got to look at the bigger picture. Do they want to get back up quick, and not have recruited particularly well, and then potentially come back down, or would it be the end of the world if it were an extra season and they come back up stronger and they've had a bit of time to get the squad that Revs wants and put his methods in? But yeah, I hope he does next year. It'd be fantastic. But it's a tough league, very tough league. But I'll definitely be rooting for Stevenage, as I always do anyway. But especially with Revs, because he's an old pro, and it's nice that he's been given a chance.
who was your least favourite ref, and what is the reason for him being the least favourite?
This is an easy one. The one who sent me off at Northampton. I've for months and months I held a grudge. Like, I thought, what am I going to do if I see him? I'm going to have to tell him what I think of him. I was absolutely fuming, because I honestly, to this day, I looked at it in slow motion, watched it about 20 times, did not touch him. And Gary Johnson didn't help, Northampton boss at the time. He was shouting like I broke his leg and made a big meal of it. And I was fuming. Because looking back, and I'm still a bit bitter about it, if I'm being honest. Not bitter, but I'm still a bit miffed now, because that ultimately could have cost me my play. I could have played, potentially been playing. I was playing anyway before that, so I might have played the semis and then the final. So it cost me that. It cost me it. So pretty much, yeah, he's the worst. I don't ever think I came up against him again after that.
Fortunately for him.
Yeah, I might have had a few strong words for him.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially the ending your season the way that it was, yeah. So
question that, Max. I've got it off my chest now. I feel better. For about that referee.
No, but what would you say, like in regards to your time at the club? Was there anything that you sort of want to, what you kind of relive, or sort of redo,
Um,
sort of regrets or anything like that, or not?
my one biggest regret was, if I'm being honest, I jumped ship too early. I was getting not impatient, but obviously it was. I should have took the gaffer's word for it. Said, look, you can stay, no problem. But
Mm.
obviously I had a contract with Rotherham on the table. It's my hometown club, near enough. I'm from Barnsley, but obviously I was actually born in Doncaster, raised in Mexborough before I
Right.
moved to Barnsley. So it's kind of a lot of my family from Rotherham. So it was kind of a chance to move back home as well with my family. And I
Mm.
thought it's a bit of a no-brainer. But I wish, looking back, easy to say in hindsight, but I wish I'd have probably just stayed and waited for the official, a bit of an offer, waited for something a bit more concrete. I was getting a bit impatient, and I thought I'll take it. I can't turn this down to wait just in case. But I wish I'd have stayed that another season because I had the option to.
Okay, right. Favorite manager that you've ever played for?
Um, it's a tough one that because there has been quite a few. I think probably my favourite was probably. Oh, it's a tough one. See, there's difference with there's favourite and there's the best.
Yeah,
So I do define them different because my favourite might not necessarily the best, but the best obviously not being biased, but was obviously Graham because he took me to Stevenage. He turned me into a better player and a better athlete than I probably would have done if I was anywhere else. Then it gave me a chance at Preston as well after I'd done my cruciate and took me
that's
to,
right. Yeah. Mm.
which I'm forever grateful for. So most definitely, I'd say, see, it's borderline. I would say probably Graham just because of the history I've got with him,
Hmm.
what I achieved when I was with him at
Yeah.
both Stevenage and getting me fit and getting me to a standard League One standard after I'd done my cruciate. I didn't know what was going to happen, so I'll
Yeah. Yeah.
probably have to say him. But I did like playing. Did like playing under Jim Smith as well at Oxford. I've got some great memories. Obviously, sadly passed away now. You know, God rest his soul. But it was. I would say them two. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. I'll go back to that one. Matt's put one there. I'll go back to that in a minute. So, yeah, kind of at the moment, what are your thoughts on games being played behind closed doors? Like the Premier League games and all of that, without the supporters there.
Obviously, it's a tough one because you know, it's kind of needs must. At the end of the day, the situation is nobody expected this to ever happen.
No.
It is what it is. But I think probably the right decision. I know the fans would love to be there, and I'll be honest with you, it would feel like a training game. There's nothing worse than it's like a behind closed doors friendly. You know,
Hmm.
they are more difficult to get motivated for, no matter what, whether it's a friendly or it's a proper game. The fans make a massive difference, absolutely massive difference, whether there's 1,000 or 100,000. But I think it was important for football to get it. In my opinion, I think at that level with the money and the amount of safety measures they can do, I think it's fine. I think as long as it's safe, no problem. Obviously, it's more difficult lower down lower league, but I
Yeah.
think the Premier League Championship certainly no problem. Not for me. Yeah, it's the right decision.
And then obviously the sort of League Two and stuff, and League One have got the playoffs. But then there's teams like Stevenage who are fighting relegation, who, yes, with Macclesfield being taken all their points off and everything like that, it was only a 2 point difference. And there's the game in hand, and the fact they were going to be playing about 6 or 7 teams directly above them. It's kind of very, you can look at it in a number of ways.
Yeah, I think it's. I wouldn't want to be in the position who was ever deciding that because I
Mm.
think whatever they would have decided and how they would have concluded the season, somebody would have disagreed with it. So whether they
Yeah.
did it, whether they played it out as normal, whether they points per game like they have done, or whether they had another method. I'm not sure, but either way, it was somebody would have been unfortunate. So I think probably, as hard as it is, I wouldn't have wanted to make that decision. So whether it's the right one or not, it's impossible to say, because I know some teams have done okay, have not been affected, and others have been drastically affected. So yeah, it's not nice. It's not a nice position to be in.
No. And then Matt's put one there. You said you don't have to answer it if you don't want, but do you believe
Like
politics belong in football?
Well, I think if we can define that a bit more, because obviously it's a bit of a broad
Yeah.
it's a broad question.
Yeah.
If you've got anything more specific, Matt, I'll try and, if it's not too controversial, I'll try and answer it for you. But not ideally, no, because politics means that potentially it's going to be something sinister and something not natural if politics are potentially involved. So I guess it depends on what level, but if it's going to affect the outcome of a game, whether it's financially or the bringing into question the game, then no, absolutely not. But obviously it depends what it is. But I would say no. I don't want politics really near the game, because it could spoil it.
Fair enough. All right. So in terms of Stevenage, is there anything that you miss about the club at all, or anything like that?
I think one thing, when you've been at quite a lot of different clubs like I have, and you kind of, every club functions different, but I must admit, a credit to how the clubs run, because not every club's run that good, and there's some clubs which are run terribly from top to bottom, and it does have an effect. But credit to Phil Wallace, absolutely, season after season. I think, in my opinion, that it is to have him back in the club. It's I think it's important, and I think, in my opinion, I think he's done a sterling job, and that's not always can be said for football clubs, whether it's from the top chairman, whether it's managers, whether it's players or whatever. But I think it's run very well, and you always felt professional. You felt looked after, had a good feel to it. So yeah, I would say it's a well run club, which that's family kind of feel that I kind of miss.
And they've obviously won a couple of awards like that as well. The being sort of a family club, they've won a few awards for things like that as well. So yeah, it's kind of that does sort of recognise and support that as well. So
yeah, absolutely, and you do miss that. You do miss that feeling. Nothing worse than turning up for work and you're not sure what's happening behind the scenes, or things seem a bit uncertain. When I was there, it was always solid. You always knew what was going off. You always knew it was, safe, solid, and it made a difference to how you turn up every day to work.
So yeah, Matt said, is it okay that USWNT is anti-Trump and pro-LGBT and feminist? Sounds very long-winded, Matt, this question. It sounds quite, I don't know, a little bit of a difficult question.
Not to be fair, Matt, I'm not an expert in politics, mate. So rather than answer incorrectly, or I'm not 100% sure with like what I could possibly answer with that, to be quite honest. But I'll just keep it short. I don't really want politics near football. I've said that, really. If it's detrimental to the game, I think that's it in a nutshell.
So just two questions more. So when you signed for Stevenage, what was the sort of main factor in that? Obviously, seeing the training ground and things like that, did that have an impact?
I didn't see that at first. I went to meet the gaffer at Holiday Inn on the M25.
Yeah.
And I think that was, that meeting could have gone either way, because it wasn't a normal meeting. He was sussing me out like he does with most players, and he wanted to know if I was signing, if I was with him, and we had a good chat, and I think that convinced me. I thought everything I thought about the club and about the team, playing them previously in the previous season, I thought, I just had a good feeling. And then obviously when I saw the training facilities, I loved that training ground. I loved it. I know they've moved now, but I loved that one. I loved it. Just with the one pitch at the back, it was nice and private, and I loved it there. I've not seen the new one, but Sorry, I have seen the new one actually, but I preferred the old one personally.
The old
But
one, yeah.
I did like that. Really nice, nice feel to it. But yeah,
And we've
I
got
think the gaffer.
go on, mate.
What's that? What favorite kit you've?
Yeah, the favorite kit you've ever worn, yeah.
Um, I only ever wore one for Stevenage, so
That one. You can't, yeah.
I can't really compare it to any others. But I think probably my favourite one. Difficult. I can't even remember half the ones I played in. Ooh, it's a tough one. That's a tough one. I might have to come back to you. I might have to send it Mike to put on the chat or something another
Yeah.
time
All
because
right, mate. That's
I
fine.
can't I can't think. Only one I could think of is because I was there 3.5 years. Is one of the Oxford shirts. I never really, to be quite honest, the years I was playing, I never really thought this is a bad shirt. I very
Mm,
rarely tried a kit on and thought this is horrible. Very
yeah.
rare. They were usually quite good and had a quite a good feel to them. So there were no really bad ones like back in the 70s, 80s, or what you see now. That were all right, pretty safe.
There's another question there from Matt, but I just want another question, which is my last one actually as well. So the question was basically, are you still involved in the game at the moment? Do you do any coaching or anything like that, or do you still play? Or
I have still been playing. I've actually, believe it or not, since I'd say probably for the last 2 or 3 years, I've really enjoyed it. I'm playing for Loughborough Dynamo at the moment,
right?
and I've really really enjoyed it. I had a couple of years where I didn't enjoy it so much.
Hmm.
I enjoyed it at Southport, and then I went to like Harrogate and had a couple of spells, a couple of other teams, and didn't really enjoy it to be honest with you. But now I'm 35 this year, and I've been probably enjoying it more than I've done for quite a while. So I'm going to keep going until my legs tell me otherwise. But I'm feeling all right. So yeah, I am playing on a Saturday still, which is probably why I've not got around to doing much coaching.
Yeah.
Um, but I am going to be completing me one of my coaching badges soon, and I do hope to do more coaching and get more badges. To be honest, I wish I'd have done more. I didn't, and hopefully one day I'll have my badges and somebody will give me an opportunity somewhere. Definitely.
And then obviously Matt's just put this one here: the best stadium that you ever played in.
Best stadium I've ever played in. I'm probably gonna say probably a mixture of Deepdale at Preston
Hmm.
and Coventry's before they moved out.
Okay. Yeah,
When
yeah.
I played for Preston, I played them in the JPT, and it was a great atmosphere. It was electric to be fair. It was quite a full stadium. I think there must have been 15 plus there, maybe more. And I really enjoyed that occasion just because it just had a Premiership feel about it. Everything, the changing rooms, training, everything just immaculate. But yeah, I'd say probably one of them two in my opinion.
All right. I think that's it. But yeah, in terms of the one that's on your profile picture on Facebook, is that do you do like talks and stuff as well? What's that regarding?
That was got invited to Lincoln City, um, which was for I don't know what it was. Basically, they invite ex pros there.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a dinner, and then we got up to we got up on stage, and the fans asked you questions similar to this really,
Mm.
but it was on
Yeah,
stage, and
yeah.
they asked questions and talk about your time, and so very similar to this, but it was actually in person because we went to watch a game, and
Right.
yeah, that was it. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, no, we're good, mate. So thanks for your time, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening and your weekend.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for your questions and cheers to you, mate. Much appreciated, and hopefully we'll do it again soon.
Yes. Take care, mate. See you later.
See you guys. See you in a
Bye,
bit.
mate. Bye, bye.
Bye.